All right, 7:02. I guess I better get started. We've got, hello, Lisa. Thanks for joining Chris there. Here we go. Welcome, Arcata Sunrise. It is our second meeting of the new year, and I'm glad to see you coming on the call this morning. We've got to look back at December because we just, well, frankly, I forgot, but we really didn't have time last week. We had some birthdays in December, and I'd like to hear if anybody here did a little something special for themselves or had something done for them. I do see Dick on my screen. But first, let's start with introductions. I'm sorry. Any visiting Rotarians? I don't see our DG Dustin on the call this morning, but that's okay. Do we have any visiting Rotarians this morning? All right, let's go on to Brandy. I believe it has an introduction to make.
My guest this morning is Tracy Day from State Farm Insurance.
Thank you, Brandy, and thanks for being here, Tracy. I understand that Tracy recently had a membership meeting, which is great. And do we have anybody from Interact or Rotaract here this morning? I can't quite see everybody, but haven't seen any. All right. Okay, now moving into what were we doing? Yes, Maggie, please.
Nira is here, and until we induct her into the club, she is a guest.
Well, hi, Nira. Michael, would you like to reintroduce Nira for those who haven't met yet?
This is Nira. She is now my wife. And her two daughters are here with us. One is at the middle school, and the older one is got a job at Luz Millas here in McKinleyville. And we are very, very happy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Okay, on to birthdays. And congratulations, Mike and Nita. So I do see Dick on the call. I don't see Melinda. And George, of course, is home, but Dick is here. So Dick, what happened on your birthday?
I made it through another one. You know, after 66 years on the planet, it's not quite as big a deal. Last year it was a bigger deal.
You just muted yourself.
I'm back now and better than ever. That remains to be seen. Last year we had a really nice family dinner. This year I did see both my boys and their girlfriends, and of course Shelly and Ace the Wonder Dog. But it was a little more low key. But we did have fun. I mean, it was just quiet, and we had a good time at home.
Well, good. Thank you for sharing. I suppose after 66 years, you're kind of used to the occasional wobbles we get here on this planet as we hurtle around the sun. I recall we had one pretty near your birthday.
Yeah. There was an earthquake on my birthday. There was also a double rainbow on my birthday. It was kind of like, which one of these is the sign? One was the sign of the apocalypse. One was a sign of whatever. The blessing of the rainbow, I guess. But yeah, I didn't know what to think.
Well, that's the point of having multiple signs. You got to make up your own mind, right?
That's right.
Okay.
I saw the sign and it opened up my mind. I saw the sign.
Very good. Jessica, I understand you had a December birthday as well.
I didn't see the signs like Dick did, but I did have a birthday. Let's see. What happened on my birthday? It was at the beginning of the month, and it was the weekend after Thanksgiving, and it was also the weekend when we had a memorial service for a dear friend of mine that we lost sort of very quickly. And so my parents came back to town 2 weekends in a row, and she said, well, as long as we're coming, Jessica, it's your birthday, so we're going to stay on. And I said, oh, great. So it was fun to have my parents and my family, and we got together and had a nice lunch at my sister's house, and my brother and sister were there too. And so it was very nice. Very nice time. Good to see my family. So yeah.
Always nice. I know Tom wasn't able to join us this morning. I was, hey, are you on the call? I'm over my screen limit here. I don't think Jose's here this morning anyway. I hope they both enjoyed their birthdays. Next, we have some anniversaries to celebrate. Rick, you're back on, and then I'd really love to hear from Craig and Janice here in a moment.
Well, like my birthday, our anniversary was kind of relatively low key. Last year was kind of interesting because it was a one of those years where everything's ends in a 0 or a 5. And so it was our 25th anniversary. This was our 26th. So, and as you know, probably all know, the 26th anniversary is talcum powder, which has been fraught with problems lately. So we didn't celebrate with that. But anyway, we did have a nice dinner at home, and it was very nice. And of course, I'm just so happy that I've got a wife as lovely and as wonderful as Shelley. So that's my gift every day.
Very good. So you kind of get an anniversary for your birthday or a birthday for your anniversary every year, huh? That's great.
A birth anniversary or an Anna day.
Craig and Janice, you're an inspiration to all of us who have tried and all of us who are still trying. Tell us a little bit about how 50 years looks with you and you're handsome yourself and your lovely wife.
Well, she's takes her a little while to get her motor running, but she's coming down the stairs. She'll be here before too long, but probably not soon enough for this little segment. But anyway, yeah, it's an even number. I mean, every year is good, every day is good. So we stepped out, which we haven't done much of in the last couple of years, like everybody else. We went to the Sea Grill and had a good dinner there, and got a parking place right out front, which was nice because it helped us get in and out pretty easily without having to fight the curbs and gutters and rough streets in that part of town. So that was kind of good. So anyway, yeah, just to, just keeping on doing what we've been doing. I picked the prettiest girl at Birmingham High School and stayed with her all these years.
Well, I'm sure she'd have some nice things to say about you too once she makes her way down. Over the years, when I first met you two, it was at a Rotary Youth Exchange weekend. And, you were clearly dually engaged in the things you do. And I've seen that continue, even though she's lost some mobility. I've seen what you did with the boat, with the lift assists there. And, it's just inspiring to see you both still trying to do all the things you love together. And we're really proud of you and happy to have you as both members of our club.
Okay, well, I got to represent, but she was down here close enough she could hear all that, so she's in on it too. So you'll see her lit up here in a second. Actually, she's working her way this way. She's going to come behind me, so you're going to see her. If you got just about 10 seconds, she'll be here to get her mug in the shot.
Well, that's the way it
There
should
she
be.
is.
Better together, right? Hi, Janice. Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you better move on. We got business to conduct.
It's important. Thank you for humoring me here.
Mhm.
All right, looking ahead, we've got a lot of opportunities for service in our club, as always. So I've consolidated down to a top few list. We are looking for 2 host families to enable the potential for an exchange. It looks like we'll have a likely inbound, and we have 1 host family of a prior club member, and we're looking for 2 more to step up and say, hey, I might like to do that. And I just had a visiting exchange student from 7 years ago last weekend, and we managed to visit socially distanced, and it was fantastic to see them as a now young adult after having got to know them as a teenager. So definitely encourage you to look inward toward your own households, and also look to your friends to see who might be interested in participating in that. We do desperately need a club webmaster. You know, Ed has moved on to Arizona, or I'm sorry, New Mexico, right? And so we need somebody that can do a little bit of photo and content editing on our website. So if you know somebody or know yourself capable, please let me know. Sophia has graciously announced that she would like to secure a mentee for the next year so that in 2023 she can pass the torch of being our excellent treasurer. Sophie, if you're on the call, is there anything you're looking for in our next treasurer? Any skills that you would like to see brought? Don't know if she's on. It's okay. Jessica or Brian might be able to give a little insight. Is it required that somebody be an accountant or a CPA?
No, it's
I didn't
not.
think so. Yeah. Okay with numbers, a little bit of math.
Probably some QuickBooks knowledge is helpful because
Okay.
it is, you know, the club's finances are in QuickBooks. And so either an ability to run it yourself or be able to work with someone who can. So
Understood. Would you call it a teachable skill?
I would.
Great. All right. So keep your radar up for yourself or others for that. I know that recently our diversity, equity, and inclusion worked with Publicity and has produced our club brochure in Spanish as well as English. And so we are looking for more possible languages for serving our local communities. So if you speak or know somebody who speaks and can translate something as simple as our brochure, please get in touch with our Publicity and or Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee for that. Spring fundraiser suggestions, you know, Angela sent me one and Dustin sent me one, and those both serve to remind me I got to get a request out there. So watch for that this week or this weekend. And future Sergeant at Arms, please contact Nick if you're interested in understanding what that position is all about in our club. It is a key and essential role, especially when we're in person, but even now. And we would like to see a mentee step in under Nick's wing for that role. Packs for Kids. Romi, tell us what's going on here. That, you know, you said your husband was happy to help, but we didn't get to see his smile. I don't know if he's just happy or focused or what's going on here.
He's both happy and focused. Yeah, no, you know, I just wanted to send that pic because this is such a great COVID friendly service thing to do. I mean, when I got to pick up the food, they had it already on a pallet. You just load your car, bring it home, fill the bags, and then drop them off at the school. Anyone can do it. It was Wednesday to pick up, Thursday to deliver, and we just smile the whole time. I mean, making 51 bags full of food that you know are going to help a child who really needs that is such an easy and heartwarming activity to do. So sign up.
Thanks, Romi. And if anybody's worried about the size of your car, I drive a Prius and it all fits. It's tight, but it all fits. So anybody can participate in this if you've got a vehicle. So please visit the signups. If that sign up could go out again, that would be probably helpful for the winter session. That'd be great. But thanks for
it should be in the winter groups inbox right now.
Perfect. Thank you very much, John. Last week, Maggie brought this to our club and had created a sign up for us. Maggie, would you mind sending that out again? And then for the people who weren't here last week, just give a brief on what this is all about.
Yes, I will send that out again after the meeting. This is something that is done every year or every other year nationally. It's to get a sense of how many people are living on the street or in their vehicles. And so Humboldt County is looking for some help with the point in time count. And Romi and Brandy and I are all signed up and set to go. But if we could have a few more people might be interested to help with that. It starts early in the morning, 7 o'clock, or actually 6:30 at meeting, and will be done way before noon because we're counting people where they're sleeping. And once they get up and start walking around, we don't want to double count them. So I will send out the information again.
Thank you, Maggie. Craig, back in December, I believe it was, you met with some of our interactors and did this project. Tell us about that.
Well, I was going to have Nick talk about Interactive. Nick, are you
Okay.
here?
I believe Nick is on the call.
I just facilitated an evening shopping event, which was part of a much bigger event. So I ended up being, the way the mechanics work is it was Interact's money. They used $750 of their money, but just to make it work, just through the school and how it had to work, and through our club finances, I actually made the purchases, and then I got compensated back by Sunriser Rotary. But if Nick's here, he can talk more about Interact.
Yeah, thanks, Craig. And we appreciate that you're able to do that. Craig has been doing the Interact Rotaract for a long time. He's the reason we have an Interact club. So we, this year, we officially adopted that Interact Club would take over as the Coats for the Cold for the community. We're kind of limited because they're students and because of COVID, but they were able to collect $750 last year, as well as collect and sort over 500 coats. This year we're doing about the same. We don't have as much money this year, but we're still delivering coats and collecting them. So we collect coats all year through the school. We collect money through the school all year, and we can still continue to distribute them throughout the community. So if you still have coats, we're still collecting them through this year. There's lots all around.
And I think part of the program too is the distribution. Is they actually, I think, have some racks at Arcata High School. They just hang the coats there, and anybody that wants them can take one, no questions asked.
Yeah, there's no questions asked. If you want a coat, you'll find it on a rack at Arcata High. Just grab it. With our model that we're creating at Arcata High, we're going to start to distribute that same model to the other high schools around here. So
Excellent. Thank you both for helping them out on that. Under World Community Service, Thomas had sent me a few pictures of things that we have going on. And Charlie, I don't know if you joined the call. I think he wanted you to speak because he couldn't be here this morning. Just a minute or two on each of these. We have a school project in Cambodia, I understand.
Yep, happy to speak. So these are some photos of the school project in Cambodia. We've supported this project in the past, and this year they're looking to basically rebuild a kitchen, I believe. And Howard, jump in there if you have more information that you want to share. But I think that's the gist of what we're looking at for this project. Next.
And we have ongoing support in the Swat Valley in Pakistan.
Thank you. Yes, and this has been something that we've supported a number of years. Last year, one of our members at Howard again was very, very generous, where he triple matched our donation, which really made a huge difference for the Swat Valley School, and Zebu, who has brought us a number of different projects around serving that community and getting children to the school.
And then we also have work or funding going on with Navajo Nation for community household water. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes, and this project was actually they were going to do a community water well, and COVID it was decided that wasn't going to be a very healthy way to go when COVID hit, and where they were able to pivot the project so that individual families are getting their own personal wells, and that's been something that's going to continue Again, they had district grant funding, and I apologize, I don't have the sponsoring club handy, but they were able to get a district grant funding for that, and we participated in that and looking to do that in the future as well. Again.
Thank you for the updates. Jessica, I believe you wanted to talk for our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Minute this month. And so I don't know if you would like to share your screen or if this slide suffices for what you'd like to talk about.
This slide is great. I'm sorry I didn't prepare any slides, but I did prepare some remarks, and so I just want to be able to share a little bit of food for thought, I think, so to speak, from the DEI committee. So good morning, fellow club members. I come to you this morning from the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. So the work of our committee is often kind of considered maybe outward facing to expand the diversity in the types of projects and the people that we serve and the people that we include in our group. But this morning, my challenge is also to consider that there's also some inside work that happens that we need to encourage all of us to do and participate in, because we're part of making our organization more inclusive, equitable, and welcoming. So today's DEI Minute is an encouragement to do a little bit of that inward facing work. And in particular, I want to encourage people to talk about or to consider the importance of having some of those hard conversations. I'm sure that people know what I mean by hard conversations. It's the ones that sort of put a ball in the pit of your stomach, that are uncomfortable when we think about having them. Maybe it's something we want to avoid having altogether because it raises uncomfortable emotions and it's a difficult thing maybe to talk about. So sure, there's the tried and true kind of difficult conversations, things about relationships, money, politics. It's also conversations about diversity, equity, and inclusion. They might be areas that we have to confront personal beliefs and biases. And when we have to confront those, there's a bunch of difficult emotions that come up as a result of it. And so it can be one of those things that we shy away from, and yet also the value of leaning into and doing it is really powerful and really helpful. So within our committee, we've actually been practicing some of those hard conversations, saying we're actually going to talk about it, not leave that alone to fester and create unpleasantness. And we really want to encourage club members to do that, be it with fellow club members within our committees, be it with work colleagues, be it with family members. Just it really helps to talk about whatever that hard thing is, get it out into the open so that you can be able to move on. But also do it in a constructive manner with sensitivity and attention. And I'm gonna give 5 pointers or 5 ideas that might help there. And then I'm gonna talk a little bit about some of the conversation, or one of the conversations in particular that we've had within our committee. But first, there's an article that I'm going to share with everybody later on today that comes from a woman named Catherine Hoffman, and it was published by Flatland KC. And it offers 5 tips for navigating some of those difficult conversations. The first is prepare. Know who you're going to be talking to. Know who's going to be in the room. Know what the conversations might look like so that you can know, okay, I'm going to be having a conversation about this aspect of politics, or I might be talking about this aspect of a relationship. Second, be calm, be patient. Recognize that the conversations can be triggering, right? And we can really find ourselves heated. You can find your conversation partner heated. But a calm presence, deep breathing, finding that calm goes much farther toward having an actual productive conversation. Third, think about who you're talking with. It might be a family member, it might be a fellow Rotarian, might be a workmate. These are all people that you have to have a long-term relationship with. So you don't want to burn the bridge on the conversation. You want to make sure that you're finding common ground, finding mindful language to be able to make sure that you can maintain that relationship on into the future. You just are working to be able to make that relationship better. The fourth point is hear in order to be heard. This one, I really like this one because I think that we really have to listen to each other, allow the other person to speak, make their points, make their, have their opinion and make their points, and don't be drafting what it is that you're going to say while the other person is talking, because too often that's something that we end up doing. So really listen and hear what the other person says. And then finally, 5, set healthy boundaries. You don't have to have all the hard conversations all in one fell swoop go round, but we do encourage you to have at least one. And then once you've had one, have another and try it again. And you'll find that you develop a literacy and an ability to have those hard conversations. And you'll also find that your life is richer and fuller as a result of doing it. So, those are my pointers. But I also want to talk about exactly how the DEI committee has been practicing those conversations and what we've been talking about. And actually, it's something that happened within the club. And so I want to share a little bit about some of the conversations that we had. Specifically, members will recall last fall when the board of directors passed a resolution that they were going to send to Rotary International. And then, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 days later, they met and they rescinded the resolution and they didn't send anything, which was good and interesting. But the aftermath is also like how it happened, what happened, how people felt about it. I brought up some hard stuff. And certainly, judging by the conversations within our committee, that it dominated the meetings for a couple of our committee meetings. And as we listened to sort of what was being said, we realized that this was something that really kind of shook our club. And it created some conflict. It made people question the organization. It made people question their place in the organization. We lost members over it. And all of that feels uncomfortable and feels scary and feels hard, and yet it's also really good because it does allow us to be able to have discussions about who and what we are. It's an opportunity to take that shaken earthquake feeling and not shy away from an open discussion, because we can realize that sometimes what it is that is uncomfortable is me having to address and look at my bias, my beliefs, my assumptions, sometimes my privilege, and that's uncomfortable. And yet also, if I work my way through that, it means that I can be able to be more welcoming and friendly and allow other folks to be able to come in. So within our committee conversations, we did the idea of Rotary as a non-political organization. And we really talked about what that means. We reminded ourselves that, hey, it's a non-political organization. However, we get involved in things that are pretty political in nature, especially around the world. Some of the things that our organization works in is not apolitical. But the cool thing about Rotary is that it's a mechanism that allows us to transcend political discourse. We unite over providing service to our community. We unite over providing service to the world. So as individual club members and as Rotarians, internationally, we come from inherently different experiences, both within our club and across the world in terms of individual people that are in the organization. We need to understand and recognize that our different experiences make us different. And we can celebrate that, but we can also work beyond those inherent differences and come together in the spirit of service. It's a reminder to have conversations with each other to find that common ground, especially when we find conflict arising within our Rotary family. So in our committee, what we realized when we allowed each other to talk and we really listened to what each other had to say, that the cool thing is we're fundamentally more alike than we are different. We're tied together by our interest in helping people and in serving humanity and in coming together to make our world a better place. So it was really inspiring, and it was really cool to be able to have the chance to talk about some of those things within our committee. So just as we did within our committee, we encourage all members to go out there, make the time, have a hard conversation with your family member, with a workmate, with a fellow Rotarian, within your committees. Engage in those hard discussions, find the connection, find the opportunity, because finding connection and common ground, that's a wish that the DEI committee has for all of us going into the new year. And I don't think it's ever been a more important time than to find that common ground and connection as we go forward in the world. So that's what I have to say on behalf of the DEI committee. So thanks,
That's
Ian.
good. Thank you so much. I have nothing to add to that. That is a complete and thorough inward and outward look. Thank you very much. Okay, something a little lighter. Chris, would you like to tell us what is this sports ball thing you have in mind?
I don't know. That
for
was
a
a hard
fellowship?
act. That's a hard act to follow, Jessica. I think the feelings of many of us, it was amazing. I want to hear that again, I think so. Anyway, switching gears. Every year, I'm going to ask that you use your memory to keep this in mind, because you can't save the date. The date is hard. It's Super Bowl Sunday. We all get kind of like backed into this funny thing. What are we going to, and COVID's happening. So we kind of like, what is a safe involvement? So we're going to do this big Zoom party. And it's drop in, drop out, hang out, watch commercials, joke about them, make comments on the screen, but to encourage attendance. We're going to do one of those games where you get to pick a square and you donate some money and you win some money if you got the right point. So look forward to it. More information will be coming out, but don't save the date, but remember the date. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Look forward to seeing what that becomes. As long as there's food involved, I'm happy. So, okay, Nick, do we have a raffle ready this morning?
Yes, we do. All right. So the big pot is $120, and let's see who's going to be a big winner today. I don't know why this thing's not making any sound anymore. I'll have to reload it and do something. All right. Of course, Dick won the first one. Let's see if he's going to be a big winner today. Nope, $5. So that's actually better than nothing, right? All right. And let's see number 2. Now it's all messed up. Okay, Craig. All right. And ooh, lucky Craig. So I'll send Craig the $120, and Dick, you get $5. Sorry, you got to play more next time. And next week will be $20 again. Thank you guys for playing.
Thanks, Nick. And thank you, Dick. All right, today we have our very own Carol Vander Meer as our featured speaker. She'd like to give us an update about the couple of the organizations she's working with, Friends of the Dunes and Trinidad Coastal Land Trust. And I say working with is probably the wrong term. I would say leading and inspiring is more like it. So Carol, I don't know if you have slides you'd like to share, if you just like to talk.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. I do have some slides I'd like to share. Do I have the ability to share my screen?
Absolutely. Let me unshare and let you take it away.
Let's see. Hang on. It's
there. You go.
Let me try that again. And I will share, and let me set up my, all right. And is everybody able to see my screen now?
We've got it.
That thumbs up. Yes. Yes, I really am grateful to have an opportunity to share some highlights of what's happening with two of my favorite organizations and share a little bit about what's happening with me too. I now have a new title with the Trinidad Coastal Land Trust. I had been serving for the past year and a half as the interim executive director, which was a really great honor, but I've been working with the Land Trust for the past several years. And I have stepped aside from my executive directorship, which is a very good move for me. I'm ready for that. And now doing some special projects and some things I want to share with you. So I'll make this pretty brief. This isn't a full-on presentation about either group, just some highlights that I think maybe some of you would appreciate and ways to get involved. So I wanted to share who our new executive director is. And I'll tell you, after being in the nonprofit world for a long time, it's really fun to help mentor and usher a new era of young and up-and-coming leaders. Michelle Koont actually starts her official role next week. She's several years ago graduated from HSU in interpretation and environment, and she's an amazing naturalist as well as just a really inspiring leader. So I feel really honored and lucky to pass the torch to her. And I hope sometime in the future, when she's all settled in, maybe she can give a fuller talk about Trinidad Land Trust and what's going on with that. But so I encourage you, I hope some of you get a chance to meet Michelle. Some of the projects that I'm working on together with Michelle, and will continue in my new role as Special Projects Manager, is we are trying to do more to improve access for all to some of Humboldt County's very favorite vistas and overlooks. And probably a lot of you are familiar with Hood Point and along Scenic Drive. And there's Camel Rock in the background of the picture there. But what we are aspiring to do in the next few months, early spring, as the weather permits, we're going to install an ADA parking stall, ADA pathways, updated interpretive sign information and benches to make this really accessible to all ability. So I'm really looking forward to that project. So if you are a participant, if you visit Trinidad often, it may look a little messy in the interim, but I think it's going to be a really beautiful update and improvement. And thanks to the State Coastal Conservancy for providing funds to be able to do that. Another one of our Scenic Drive properties that Trinidad Coastal Land Trust took over ownership just a couple years ago is Luffenholtz Beach and Topona Point. Topona Point's that picture on the left that goes way out over that bluff. If you've been there recently, you realize that the stairs and the railing need some love and attention. And we're going to do some restoration work and planting native plants. So we have a planning effort going on. And probably the following year, after we get Huda done, we hope to improve this. The picture on the right shows a vista that's kind of overgrown. We're going to transform that into an accessible vista point looking out over Luffenholtz Beach, and you can see Trinidad Head in the background. And also incorporating interpretive information that recognizes that all these areas up in the Trinidad area are rooted in lots of stories and history with the Yurok people. This is all unceded Yurok territory. So I'm working to try to work collaboratively with our tribal partners there. Strawberry Rocks is another place that, while it's not right on the Trinidad coast, if you've hiked up to Strawberry Rock, this property is currently owned by Green Diamond. And technically, if you go up there, you're technically trespassing. So the Land Trust has tried to set about acquiring a trail easement to manage and improve the trail and improve protection for the rock up to Strawberry Rocks. This has been a very, talk about hard conversations, Jessica. This has been an interesting opportunity and challenge because we've been working together with Green Diamond, working with several tribes with people of Yurok ancestral origin, because this is a culturally sensitive site. And the Yurok tribe, as well as Resigini Rancheria and Trinidad Rancheria, all have an interest here. And one of our big hard conversations and questions is, what role do we play as a land trust in owning land and maybe facilitating times when it's appropriate to give that land back? And who, you know, there may be opportunities where tribal management and leadership is most beneficial for the land. So we're just embarking on some of those conversations, and they're challenging. There's some logistical challenges, working with Green Diamond, the private landowner, and they have their own interests as well in the surrounding timber. So stay tuned. It's a work in progress, but I also see that it's an opportunity to really build trusting relationships with our partners. Next, and just recently, we joined together with the Bureau of Land Management to celebrate 150 years of the Trinidad Lighthouse. Unlike the Memorial Lighthouse that's down by the harbor, it's a replica of this actual historic lighthouse. It's been up there aiding navigation for 150 years. The lighthouse, I hope many of you have been up in there. If you haven't had a chance to climb up into the lighthouse, I really encourage you to do so. It's open just on the first Saturdays of the month from 10 to noon. You can actually go up in there. This, there's about a 12-acre site. It's actually the newest addition to the California Coastal National Monument, which is really all the offshore rocks, but there are some land-based parcels, and this is one of them. It's one of the places. Trinidad is a gateway to where you can enjoy the amazing diversity of wildlife on those rocks. Speaking of wildlife on those rocks, I think I've talked with you before, but we are continuing years of training community scientists to help monitor some of the wildlife that depend on those offshore rocks, including seabirds, seals, sea lions. So stay tuned. We'll be advertising some talks about that. And actually, as soon as March, we will do training for community scientists who want to get out there with spotting scopes and help us track and record how these seabirds are doing and what we can do to help them thrive. So those are, and then also our club is all about service. Well, if you're all about service, every first Saturday, the Trinidad Coastal Land Trust does community service, works with community volunteers to repair trails, pull ivy, pick up trash, you name it. It takes a lot of work to help protect and maintain the over 26 different properties and easements that the land trust manages. So you can get lots of details on our website, trinidadcoastallandtrust.org, but or email me if you want to know more. So I'm going to switch hats. Actually, I meant to bring I have my other Friends of the Dunes hat. I'm a past director of Friends of the Dunes, but now I'm a board member and I have a lifelong connection to Friends of the Dunes. And one of the exciting things that Friends has coming right up and is a Naturalist Notes webinar series starting in January 18th. And I want to give you a couple little teaser highlights of what that series has. You can sign up for the whole series, or you can just take individual ones. The nature therapy and forest bathing, which I presume probably a lot of us have been doing that, but if you want to enhance your forest bathing skills, Justin Legg is a certified nature therapist, and he is amazing. In fact, he was an intern for me, and his major word is awesome. And I can't wait to go listen to his talk. And I think it'll be a really stellar one. Other talks that are happening in the series have to do with local scientists, monitoring ravens to understand the impact of ravens in snowy plover habitat, learn about the diversity of bats at Landfear Dunes. And also there's a talk about greater fritillary butterfly conservation. And finally, I'm going to be participating in a really special program called Celebrating 40 Years of Coastal Conservation. It's actually been 40 years since Friends of the Dunes started out as a support group for the Nature Conservancy, but has evolved into its own nonprofit. And there's been a lot of interesting milestones and people and groups and individuals who've really contributed to what Friends of the Dunes is today. The other thing I wanted to highlight is I think I've talked about this before, but the Samoa, sorry, I gotta get my thing out. The Samoa Dunes wetlands area is really a beautiful piece of property. I know I took a few people on a tour there. It's just awesome. And it is also one of the interesting things that's happening there is that a portion of this property that we acquired, gosh, a little over a year ago, is on the bay side. And we are currently in the midst of working with and talking with the Wiyot tribe and turning that land over to the Wiyot tribe, which is very exciting. And it's a really neat opportunity to be able to work with them. Some other things that Friends of the Dunes is doing, not only on that property, but also their nature centers. We got a grant from the Coastal Conservancy called Explore the Coast. And the goal of that grant is really to reach new audiences. We have Daisy Ambrose. She's going to be leading a lot of programs for Spanish speakers, translating materials. We're going to be offering programs for nature newbies, some people who don't feel as comfortable, haven't just grown up getting outside, but we want to help facilitate that. And even our Get Outdoor gear sale, that's a fundraiser in the spring, we're actually going to use that as another way of helping people get outfitted so they feel more comfortable, they feel more safe getting out and exploring nature. So I'm just really excited about that program and the staff working on that, and really pleased to be serving on the board and continuing my ongoing connection with Friends of the Dunes. There are a couple upcoming service events happening right away. If you haven't figured out where you can put some of your service into the many different opportunities on Martin Luther King Day, at the Manila Park, Friends of the Dunes, in collaboration with Red Coast Montessori, is going to be doing a cleanup out there on this park, this hidden gem right on the shores of Humboldt Bay. Redwood Coast Montessori, as you may recall, has their school out here in Manila. They also run the Family Resource Center, which our club helped build and renovate. And so there's an elementary school here. Redwood Coast Montessori now has a high school in Arcata, and we're also supporting some of their efforts. So it'd be a great place if any community member is welcome to come. But I really must promote our Adopt a Highway. Our club's Adopt a Highway starts right on the Friends of the Dunes property, right in the background picture there. You can see the Humboldt Coastal Nature Center. We're really, I'm grateful that Friends has allowed us to store all of our cleanup materials, and many hands make light work, as we all know. So if you can come to the Nature Center at 10 o'clock, get a quick safety pep talk, get your equipment, I'll assign you a section of the highway. It really needs it. We kind of missed it last time around, so this is sort of a rescheduled event, and I would love to see lots of board members. Oops, and my timer just went off telling me that I've been talking for 15 minutes. So that's my very fast tour of what's been happening at Friends of the Dunes and the Trinidad Land Trust. And I don't know if anybody, I thought I'd open it up if there are any questions. And I suppose I should stop share so I can see. I know that was kind of a lot of fast talking.
That's great, Carol. Thank you very much. You know, every time any of us goes out on the coast, we see the results, and it's been a long time coming. And right now, it seems like every time I come down Scenic Drive, there's a new more accessible trail. You know, a lot of those are very steep with stairs, but they're still very much improved than they have been over the years past. So thank you to all those efforts. I do see a question here from Stephanie. Stephanie, do you want to go ahead?
I was just gonna say, I on our stretch of highway for the highway cleanup, there's a couple of cars that keep getting torn apart on a daily basis and
I know.
spreading trash everywhere. We're not responsible for those cars, are
We
we?
are not responsible for
Yeah.
those cars, and I have it on my list. I'm going to be talking to Caltrans and just say, hey, we're cleaning up this highway, but what can you do to help that? That's been, I've been talking with Mike Wilson, our supervisor, and trying to figure out how we can address those cars are really linked to some encampments for houseless people. And as we all know, it's an ongoing challenge how to solve that and find appropriate housing for people. And I was going to say, I participated in the past in the point count time out here in Manila. And there's a lot of people in need of better, more appropriate housing who are out here in Manila. And we need to work on making that happen.
Steve, I see you asked, how can we make donations for the gear sale?
Ooh, yeah. You can bring them out anytime, but with COVID, you need to call ahead so that there is a person on hand. You can open up our big locker and take your donations. And so it's best to either email info@friendsofthedunes.org and say, hey, I've got some gear. How do I bring it by? Or you can always call them, go on their website. There's a phone number, 707-444-1397. So either of those ways, and then they will gladly take your gear. It's been a great fundraiser, and I'm really excited about it being used as also an opportunity to outfit people who, maybe need a little help feeling more comfortable out in the wilds.
Any other questions or comments about the work that these two organizations have been doing? All right, Carol, you briefly mentioned, the Yurok tribe is obviously involved, and rightfully so, and should be. And that reminded me, regarding the gear donation, there was a Yurok tribal member, a gentleman who lost his home in the fire very recently. In a fire, his home burned down. And I'm told he needs size 13 work boots. He works outside. He needs good heavy duty jeans in a 40-36 and some 2XL shirts to get him back out to work. If you go to the Yurok Tribe's Facebook page, well, that's not going to focus, is it? There it goes, almost. Go to the Yurok Tribe's Facebook page. There's information on how to get that and other cash type donations to him to get him literally back to work and back on his feet. So thanks for considering that.
I want to make one more plug, just because it's my habit, is there are multiple tribes with people of Yurok ancestral origin. So we are involved with Rezagini, Big Lagoon, Trinidad Rancheria, and Yurok people are members of those different federally recognized tribes as well, not just the Yurok tribe. Just my constant reminder, because it's really common for people to not realize.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you very much. So we appreciate you presenting today. As is our club's tradition, we will be making a donation in your name to the Wheelchair Foundation and to provide access to people who don't otherwise have access to wheelchair needs. So thank you again for presenting. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
One moment. Let me get my screen back up here. Okay. As I mentioned last week, for those who weren't here last week, we do have a challenge in the works for our spring fundraiser. We're soliciting ideas. I've received a couple so far. And at this point, I'm just going to send out an email reminder to email me directly with your ideas, because as I tried to create a survey of sorts, it's too limiting to put ideas out there of what it could be. So you tell me what you think it could be, and we'll bring it to the club. Again, our club at large will vote on the ideas that we want to proceed with. Whoever provides the winning idea gets to choose where to spend $500 of the club community foundation funds, the presidential discretionary funds. And the chair or co-chairs of the spring fundraiser get to decide where to spend $1,000 of our president's discretionary club funds. So please start sending those ideas in. I will send out an email asking for that to the whole club for those who aren't on the meeting today. But it is time to get moving on that. What we'd like to do is bring that to our final Friday this month to bring the ideas forward so that we can review them and then vote on them on our first meeting in February. So thank you very much for putting your thinking caps on. For parting thoughts today, it's weird. I have these thoughts at night and I write them, and then what we talk about that day seem relevant. So it's serendipitous, but here it is. You can contribute, utilize your practiced skills, participate now. Have a great day, everybody. As always, I'll stay on for a few minutes if anybody has any catch-up things they'd like to talk about.